Hi, I'm Jack Miller. I'm the CTO of HelmGuard AI. And at HelmGuard, we're focused on building agents inside of compliance and security to automate a lot of manual workflows that exist in that space. A bit about the origin of the company. I'm somebody that believes that the AI models are getting better and better and better. We've seen this with the latest release of Claude, with the reasoning models. And so I think the world is getting to a position where both businesses have the capacity to improve their sort of compliance and security internally with the AI models. But increasingly, we're going to see threats from the outside world from these AI models. And I really believe that we need to scale the defenses with the model capabilities, just as we're doing with the outside world. And as a startup, we've been building a lot on Palantir. In security and compliance, people really care about security and compliance. And so we've been building on the platform because not only does it have the sort of AI capabilities and the orchestration capabilities in order to enable these AI agents to work in the right way, but it has, some of the best security in the world in order to give our customers the sort of assurance that they need. So I'm just going to switch here to one of our workflows, which is in the pain point of third-party risk management. So what you see here is CloudGuard Defense. This is a notional company that is in our system. And you can see sort of three components here. The first is questionnaires. Now, questionnaires are security questionnaires that this party has received. We've also got a similar demonstration for cases where you're the first party, the person sending out these questionnaires, and you need to review them. And then you have internal documentation that is used in order to help answer questionnaires that you receive. And so typically, these kinds of questionnaires will look like this when you first receive them. You have loads and loads of questions. Usually this is done over Excel. You can upload that into the system. Usually there are loads and loads of questions that you don't have good answers for. And a lot of sort of security time and compliance time is actually spent in answering these questionnaires rather than focused on the things that matter. Like, answering this questionnaire is good for the business, but, from a security perspective, actually sort of a lot of time is spent on these things where it should actually be spent, sort of securing the business. And so we thought this was an excellent application of the kind of AI automation and parallelism that we bring to the fore with the Palantir platform. And so the first thing, the first pain point that we solve here is actually getting AI to answer these questions based on unstructured documentation that the business might have access to, and a question bank of previously answered questions. And so not only do we have the capacity to sort of take what exists in your security standards policy, your data protection policy, so on and so forth, and answer the questions in a way which is sort of specified by you in terms of style, but as you continue to answer questions that the AI wasn't able to answer, we store those away in a global state, and we're able to then improve iteratively over time. And we have evals on these answers, inside of the platform. And actually, what you see here is number one, on the left-hand side, the question. Number two, the answer. Number three, the result of a judge LLM, which has been evaluated to look at the answers to determine if they're of a sufficient quality. And then finally, an allocation of the question to an internal team. And so if you're in a sufficiently large business, actually answering questions that are not able to be answered by the AI is quite tough and takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of internal coordination. I, as the person that's running this questionnaire, if I'm at a 4,000 person company, needs to know who the person inside of my company is that actually can get an answer to this question. And so we automate the process of allocation. So that's the second pain point we solve. And then finally, we actually expose to that internal group a chat interface where they can answer the question iteratively with us, and then also search up any documentation, any data that exists that might help them answer this question. So here we have a cloud security department helping answer a question around zero trust networking. And we can see the AI model, if I zoom in a bit, the AI model has said, great, I'm helping you answer this question. Let me search up, okay, what reports or other information exist that might allow me to answer this question. Please gather this information for me. Great. And so if we send that off, and we'll see in a little bit how this is all done in the back end. You'll get some information back, you'll go back and forth, and then finally the AI model can actually answer the question with you after receiving significant confirmation of that being the case. And so this takes what would normally exist as an email being sent with an Excel document specifying, I want you to look at questions 5 to 10. Instead, it's all done entirely by AI. Where the AIs understand their uncertainties, they understand their limitations, and can basically go back up to a human where necessary. But we found in previous partnerships, we can take similar processes to this down by 90%. And so anyway, you would go back and forth with this AI and then finally provide an answer. So given that, I'd love to now move on to what this looks like on the back end. So the first thing I'm going to start out with is Agent Studio. So this is a sort of a somewhat new product out of Palantir that we've been utilizing quite a bit. And so here I've got up the same chat interface we had before, but on Agent Studio. And so I'm going to ask the same questions, and we'll see how Palantir allows us to basically coordinate the tool calling, etc., in order to make this happen. So you can see on the right-hand side the debugging, where actually we've used some metadata from the previous chat window, and we're getting the question that the agent is helping that allocatable group sort of answer. And then we can see how the query function works, actually. So if we want to say, I want to gather some relevant information from the documents already on file. We can then see, again, we'll get the context about which question we need to answer, but then also the agent will decide to run a function called query semantic chunks, which is a logic function, and it will get the chunks that we have access to. And we've got a bit of our own sort of chunking system that we've set up that's a bit of our sort of special sauce. But then we get some information here about the summary of what's being done. And, as I said before, you could continue and say, draft up an answer to the question. And then it would use, after a bit more back and forth, it would then use this tool over here in order to come to record the answer in the end. So that's one area that we're using sort of Agent Studio in the back end. I'm going to switch over now to some of the things we're doing inside of Automate. So if we go back to the internal company again, HelmGuard Defense, and we go to View All Controls, actually HelmGuard Defense is getting ready for an audit. And what they want to do is they want to upload all of the documentation. Right now they're halfway through. They want to upload all the documentation they have about their ISO 27001 certification, and they want to work out how well they're doing against that. And so actually what we have here is a Start Batch Evaluation button that basically takes in all the unstructured documentation we saw before about the questionnaire, and then runs that as a series of automate functions on the back end to look through each control inside of ISO 27001 and compare it against that unstructured documentation and other data, and then come to a conclusion as to whether those controls are in place. Basically, it's like a 3-minute control gap assessment done by AI on the data that exists currently in your platform. And if I switch back over to the Automate, this is the automation that is actually empowering that particular workflow, where when a new sort of object is added, a new process object is added based on the set of controls available, a logic function will then run and get the sort of semantic chunks associated with the sort of data on the back end, will run and then produce an assessment as to whether, a control like all admin accounts have MFA is in place or not. So there's just a few sort of little bits about how we're using Palantir in order to speed up our development, how we're using it in order to sort of provide value for our customers. And if anything of this is of interest to you, please reach out and have a great day.